explain the situation for LGBTI people in Zimbabwe. And what came out of the meeting was a pledge to take up the issue within the Zanu PF structures, of which they also responded that they'll be coming back to us with a more formal response around the issues that we tabled in the meeting and the matters that were discussed during the meeting.
What were the issues that you tabled to the ruling party?
Basically, we highlighted how we as the LGBTI community were affected by the climate of intolerance that perpetuated previous elections, and also the issues around the use of hate speech that impacted on our community, and also the use of the state machinery to clamp down on LGBTI activities and harass our communities, and the climate around the elections that made it very difficult for our community to participate in electoral processes in Zimbabwe. I think we were coming from a situation where previous elections were marred by the use of LGBTI identities in campaigning or decampaigning other political parties and individuals. Hence, that also affected how our community was received or participated in those processes. So we're trying to establish from Zanu PF what was being done to also improve the situation of LGBTI people in Zimbabwe. And our approach was not only targeting Zanu PF. I think we've approached all political parties, or most of the political parties that we felt were significant in trying also to understand the position that they have around LGBTI people in Zimbabwe.
And looking at the previous stance by Zanu PF to your community, were you not surprised that they at least agreed to sit on the same table with you and share your experiences as you've alluded to?
What we see is that this was a first step in re-engaging with our communities, also in re-engaging with communities that have been disenfranchised by this whole process of elections. So I think that's commendable in that Zanu PF is willing to come to the table and have conversations with different individuals or groups of societies that historically haven't had that opportunity to engage with Zanu PF or have a dialogue with Zanu PF. So we were quite encouraged by the stance that Zanu PF took to be able to engage with the LGBTI community in Zimbabwe. And
you've also said you've tried to engage other political parties. What has been the response?
At the moment, sadly, most political parties are yet to respond to our letter. But I think Zanu PF is currently the front runner in terms of being able to respond and meet with our community and also assist us in framing how we perceive political parties and their ideologies. So it's quite encouraging that they've taken that first step, and they are also the front runner at the moment in terms of responding to that letter that we wrote to different political parties.
Considering maybe politics is a game of numbers, can't you say Zanu PF is also doing it because they want votes from your community?
I wouldn't know in terms of their strategy what their strategy is focusing on, but I think for us what we see is that this is what we've always been trying to get to a point where we have conversations and dialogue with political parties, and particularly with Zanu PF, since it's the ruling party at the moment, it's the government of the day, for us to be able also to have conversations that could ultimately influence their political position or their policy-making processes within Zanu PF. I think for us, we received that quite commendably.
And lastly, your message to Zimbabweans as we also go towards the elections and how your community is perceived?
Our message remains the same, that we're trying to create an environment where everybody participates in electoral processes, where we shun the politics of hate speech, the use of violence, where we encourage those marginalized groups to be able to participate in processes, and where we try and create a culture of a return to constitutionalism, where the respect for different could be political opinions or different sexual orientations or different ideologies is promoted in Zimbabwe. I think that could also make us try and achieve the process of going back to constitutionalism.